I'm going to be showing you how to completely remove your rear end. We're going to begin this job by removing the brakes. Up top right here, it's 15 mil. Two bolts, they're 15 mil each. The top one you can get a socket onto. The bottom one I had to use a wrench. Alright, and there's the first bolt. Alright, now the last bolt holding in the caliper is right underneath. This bolt was very hard for me to get off because the rear end's wobbling for me. I should have done this before I removed the control arms. So I am going to use a torch gun. I'm just going to heat about like right here to break it free because I don't want to burn off this wire right here. Go. Since I have the jack supported, as you see, I'm about to lower it. Now we're going to remove the quad shock, but I'm not going to remove it from the actual rear end. I'm going to remove it from the frame. Just these two bolts, they're 15 mil. They're very easy to break free. With a breaker bar, it's very easy to break these free, but you guys know me as Muscle Man. There's the first one. We're going to begin by removing the lower control arm. The side's a 21 and the inside is a 18. I think we broke it. There we go. So I went and got my jack's handle. It just says leverage. Even the breaker bar was too hard to break it. I didn't capture the removal of the lower control arm bolt. Slide it out towards the differential. Alright, and here's the last control arm, the upper control arm. So there's going to be a bolt on this side and on the other side where my hand is. And both of these bolts are 18 mil. For the back side, I'm just going to put a wrench around it. And then for the side facing us, it's where your ratchet will come into play. The other side of this completely loose, so I went and just loosened it with my hand. Front side, we can just keep going at it. You guys make sure that you guys have jack stands on the axle housing or have the rear end supported at least. There we go. All I need to do is lift up a little bit on the rear end. This transmission jack has saved me taking out my transmission, taking out my K-member, and now taking out the rear end. This thing has saved me so many times. Like I said before, a normal floor jack will work for this, but the transmission jack, I think it's a great investment, honestly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this underneath the car. First thing we're gonna do is connect the brakes. So there's two bolts holding it in the back. Connect this line back in. I don't know if you have to remove this from the caliper piece itself. I did it just on the fly. I'm not sure if this actually has to be removed or not. Won't lie to you guys, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, slide this back under, connect the brakes. All right, so got it setting about where we're gonna have to raise it up at. You can tell because right here, you'll see this will line up. It's gonna bolt in. Back here, up top here, this is gonna come down, it's gonna come up, lines up right there. We know we're in the right position, so the control arms mount up. This, when we put the bracket back on, this will mount back up. Put the bracket back on before putting the control arm back on. But yeah, now we're going to put the brakes back on, so that way we can get this pressure line. And I'm gonna have to bleed my brakes, at least my rear ones. Before we put the caliper back on, we need to put on this bracket piece. Pretty sure it slides like this. And it needs to be like setting up, pressed up against here pretty well. Take your bolts for the brake, slide them through, and then push this all the way down. Clamp thing will go through here, just like that. And then what I'm doing is using my right hand to hold the back of this thing in place so it's pressed all the way up, and using my thumb to press this way so that way it's pressed all the way up against here. And these are 13 mil bolts. We're gonna go pretty consistent with them. So don't over tighten one, and you wanna be pretty consistent with how you're tightening both of them. And again, I'm not exactly sure how tight this is supposed to be. Yeah, I don't think it has any torque specs for these at least. I don't know. These brake bolts definitely will. So now we can go ahead and put the brakes back on. All right, so the easiest way I found out how to put these rear brakes back on, separate these two pieces. This side will mount up to where these are. And then from here, you can get your back of the bolts. I got that hand tight as much as I can. This is a 15 mil, by the way. So you take your brake pads, like so. I mean, these are only gonna fit in one way. I mean, just try and see, look, I flip it, it's definitely not gonna fit in correctly. So now for the final assembly, wire comes underneath. Probably have to move the rear end a little bit towards the brake line, give it access to it. And you'll just mount these two right over here. So just pretty much just press it in. All right, I got both the bolts in there to stay. This is a 12 mil, by the way. All right, now we can go ahead and connect the lower control arm back to it. There we go. Keep pressing the rear end up and down, pressing the control arm up and down, wiggling them both till you get it pushed all the way through. So this side's a 21. I believe the front side is an 18. Yep, so we're gonna go ahead and hand tighten this all the way down first. Because I'm going to use something special. Here's the torque spec if you want it. If not, yeah, I should have. I just realized this piece is loose. Let's see if I can get a wrench under there to tighten it, but kind of needed to do that. I needed to do this part before I did the control arm piece. Shoot. All right, I fixed this now, and this is all in. You have a second jack, anything that can maybe lift something up. You're gonna put it on the end where the drive shaft connects to, and you wanna lift it up. I'll make sure it's kind of even, kind of how it would sit with the car normally, because now we need to line these up. Actually, this is almost pretty already lined up. This is the only way it's gonna slide through. I thought it was the other way. Finally got it pushed through. I'm gonna put this on now. The other side literally took me maybe like 5 minutes. This side took me like 20. I don't know why, but it just wasn't lining up. So that's all it was. So now you're gonna need a wrench and a ratchet, both 18. I've got some paper towel. I'm gonna wrap it around here. So I'm gonna let it sit, and I don't want it to scratch anything. Yeah, here's the torque spec for these, but this thing done made me mad, so here's the torque spec for today. Now we're gonna jack the rear end back up and put the strut back on. As you start lifting this thing back up, make sure that the spring compresses correctly. As you're doing it, just make sure this lines up. Slide the bolt nut through. I've got it as hand tight as I can. Now we just gotta put the wheel back on. No, yeah, she's not going nowhere. Now for your application, you'd probably be doing both tires at the same time. I already did the other side.